There are a lot of Tekken games that fans want to see return, maybe like Tekken 5, Tekken 3, or even Tekken 4 if you're feeling a little adventurous, but there's one game that keeps popping up over and over again, and that's Tekken Tag Tournament. And honestly, I completely understand why, because Tekken Tag Tournament wasn't just another Tekken game, it felt like an event, a giant celebration of the franchise, a game where everybody showed up, everybody got invited, and the only requirement was just throwing hands. But here's the problem. As much as fans love Tekken Tag Tournament, I don't think it's coming back, at least not in the way people remember it. And honestly, after looking at both the good and the bad, I kind of understand why too. Because Tekken Tag Tournament is one of the most beloved games in the franchise, but it's also one of the most difficult Tekken games to justify making today. And that's exactly why it's such an interesting topic. But before we get into that, if you guys don't know me by now, I'm Mr. Frosty Flames, but you can call me Mike. We do anything gaming news, reviews, playthroughs, analyses, and we do it in a chill way with no over editing BS. I just want to say, guys, thank you for 2,000 subscribers. It really means a lot for me, and we're gonna aim for 2,500. That's the next milestone, so be sure to join up and subscribe to join the Frosty Flames Legion. Anyways, let's get back to the video. So why do people love Tekken Tag Tournament? Let's start with the obvious. You know, Tekken Tag Tournament is awesome. The concept alone is enough to get people excited. You know, you take two characters, build a team, create synergies, switch between them during battle. It's sort of like MK9's tag mode that everyone loved. You know, it's simple and it's fun. And it immediately gives the game a different feel compared to, say, traditional Tekken where you're just mastering one character. Because in this one, you're mastering two. And for lifetime fans, that's incredibly appealing. Especially because Tag Tournament felt like a giant celebration. You know, characters from different eras, dream team combinations, you have weird team combinations, maybe even ridiculous team combinations. The game felt like a giant toy box of just Tekken, and players love things like that. And if we're being honest, Tekken Tag Tournament 2 was ridiculous. You know, the roster was massive. Absolutely massive. At times it felt like Bandai Namco was just adding characters just because they could. You wanted old characters, they're here. You wanted forgotten characters, they're here. Characters nobody expected, you know, they're here too. The amount of content was insane. You know, customization, modes, character combinations, replay value. For many fans, Tag 2 felt like the ultimate Tekken package. That kind of game where you could just play for years and discover something new. Even then, you know, after playing all that time. And honestly, that's part of why people miss it. And now here's the thing where it gets complicated, because this is a problem that nobody really talks about. Because there's a reason Tekken Tag Tournament isn't a mainline series, and that's because it becomes obvious the second you start learning the game seriously. Because if you played Tekken 8 or any other mainline Tekken games, you know that Tekken is a super complicated fighting game. You know, learning it is by far is probably even harder than Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, any other fighting game. Tekken is one of the hardest fighting games you could even get into, and this is no different. You know, this game is complicated, very complicated. You know, learning one Tekken character is already a commitment. Learning two, that's a completely different story. Now combine that with things like tag mechanics, tag combos, tag assault, tag crash, character synergy, and like just, you know, team optimization, and suddenly you're studying for an exam instead of playing a video game. The skill floor wasn't just high, it felt like it was located on another planet. That's how high it was. Another issue it had was balance. Balancing a normal fighting game is hard. Balancing a tag fighting game, well, good luck. You're not balancing characters anymore, you're balancing combinations. You have to think of every little detail, every little combination, and that's where things get messy. Because every new character affects dozens of possible teams, sometimes hundreds. The number of interactions becomes absurd. It's like trying to solve a math equation while somebody keeps adding more numbers. Eventually, things become difficult to manage, and Tekken Tag Tournament definitely had its share of balance problems. Some teams were terrifying. Others felt totally outclassed. It's just the nature of tag fighting games. And another thing is, Tekken Tag Tournament isn't a casual friendly game either. This might be the biggest reason we haven't seen another tag tournament, because modern fighting games care a lot about accessibility. Even in Street Fighter, modern controls is the main mode when you select a character to play. Whether people like that or not, it's true. Developers want new players, they want growth, they want people who never touched a fighting game before to try it and jump in. Tag Tournament isn't exactly known for that. The game asks a lot from players, a lot. And while hardcore fans love that depth, new players often get, overwhelmed and they don't really play the game for long term, so they just leave very quickly. I've seen experienced fighting game players get overwhelmed by Tekken Tag Tournament even. So imagine somebody new. The game could feel like being dropped into the deep end of a swimming pool while somebody hands you a textbook. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, it's fun casually, like if you're playing with your friends or just playing messing around, but if you actually want to get into it with that, euphoria of just, oh my god, look at this roster, and then just playing a couple matches wears off, then you're gonna like leave, you know what I mean? Because it's too hard. And here's where I think the conversation gets interesting, because while Tekken Tag Tournament had problems, modern Tekken has a lot of problems too. A lot of fans miss the creativity that tag mechanics offered. The freedom, the experimentations, the crazy team combinations. It was all so hype. Modern Tekken is easier to understand, but it's also more restrictive. You only pick one character, that's your character, typical FGC game. Tag Tournament allowed for endless creativity, and honestly, that's part of why fans still talk about it today, not because it was perfect, but because nothing else really feels like it. So what if it came back? Let's talk about the fun part. What if Tag Tournament returned, Tekken Tag Tournament 3 or something? Because despite everything I've said, I don't actually think bringing it back is a bad idea. I just don't think it should replace mainline Tekken. That's the difference. Tekken 9 shouldn't become Tekken Tag 3, but Tekken Tag 3, absolutely. Imagine, modern graphics, modern netcode, modern customization, a huge roster, and updated tag mechanics. That sounds incredible. The trick would be treating it like a celebration again, not a replacement, maybe like a small spin-off, not the future of Tekken, just a special event for fans, because that's what Tag Tournament always did best. It celebrated the franchise. Or they could take a piece of a page from Mortal Kombat 9's book and just make it a separate mode for fun, It doesn't have to be competitive, obviously if Tekken 9 comes out and you're gonna go to EVO, they're not gonna be playing in Tag Tournament, right, mode, but imagine if you could do that, like you could have a separate Tag Tournament mode that's just a nod to the original Tag Tournament games, choose two characters and just do everything, tag mechanics, blah blah blah. It would be fun. But if I'm being honest, I think that's a dream too far up or too high to reach, because I think the biggest reason Tag Tournament isn't returning comes down to risk. Making a Tag Tournament game is expensive, especially in modern gaming. Balancing it is difficult. Teaching it to new players is difficult. Supporting it competitively is difficult. And if it doesn't sell well, or if players just leave, that's a huge problem. Bandai Namco probably looks at all of these factors and thinks, why not just make another mainline Tekken? It's gonna be easier and it's more safer. And from a business perspective, that's completely understandable. But from a fan perspective, it's very disappointing because Tag Tournament offers something unique that the mainline games don't. So in the end, do I think Tekken Tag Tournament is coming back? Probably not, at least not anytime soon, because the challenges are obvious, the complexity is obvious, the balancing problems are obvious, but despite all that, I still want it back, because Tekken Tag Tournament represented something special. It was chaotic, complicated, and occasionally ridiculous, and sometimes it felt like the game was actively trying to melt your brain. But it was also one of the most unique experiences the franchise has ever produced, and honestly, even if it never becomes a full game again, I'd love to see Bandai Namco bring some version of it back, like I said, a separate mode, maybe like a side project, a celebration title, anything. Because while Tag Tournament might not be practical, it's still one of the coolest ideas Tekken has ever had, and that's exactly why fans refuse to stop talking about it. But that's just my take on it. Let me know what you guys think down below. Do you guys want Tekken Tag Tournament to ever come back or not? Or are you guys happy with modern Tekken? Let me know in the comments down below. Well, if you like this video, make sure you comment, share, like, and subscribe to join the Mr. Frosty Flames Legion. Thank y'all for watching. Mr. Frosty Flames out. Ciao.